The tax filing deadline is almost here, and there's one word on everyone's mind: refund. Our next guest is here to help you unlock yours before the buzzer. Chief Tax Officer for Jackson Hewitt, Mark Steber, joined our sister station in Colorado for the latest. Claudia Garofalo has the story.
Mark, it's good to see you. All right, we are coming up on actually the deadline for taxes. What are some tips for those who have waited until the last minute? Because you know there's people out there.
Well, there's a lot of people out there, so don't be shamed. No judging here at Jackson Hewitt. I'll simply say now's the time to get it done. You do not need to wait to the last minute. You know, you've still got some time. Find your documents, find your pro, go get it done, pull that Band-Aid off, and go get that tax refund and start thinking about next year. So make a commitment to it would be the one piece of advice I would say.
Just get it done and over with right now. Here's the deal. A lot of people wait and then they have to file for an extension, stuff like that. What's your opinion on that? Kind of a bad idea here.
Tax pros love extenders because you kind of have to do the tax return to calculate the amount that goes with the extension. You don't just get to throw a piece of paper on there. So you kind of have to do the tax return, and then you extend, you have to do the tax return again. Why go to the trouble? Do the tax return up front unless you really have a need to extend, and that's very rare. File your taxes, avoid the extension, avoid paying twice, and get your refund. It's just that simple, and you usually have all your documents. You may be thinking you're missing one, but a phone call, an email, a text, and tax pros are really good at that.
Okay.
You can get all your documents.
Okay, here's the thing also. A lot of people like to do it themselves.
Yep.
They wait to the last minute, and then they're rushing, and they just get it done. That is kind of a bad idea. Why do we need to use a pro and get it done the right way?
Well, if your taxes are really simple, and that's like a elf on a unicorn riding down a rainbow, it's not that common with life changes and tax changes,
Yes.
but people think that, and we gladly will amend that. I would simply say this: either do the work and understand the terms and the technology, or you're just going to run the risk. Doing it fast just to get it done is a worst case solution for your largest single financial transaction. And why wouldn't you want to throw it over the fence to a tax pro who loves taxes? They love helping you find money, take that stress away, get a more accurate return, faster return. Price is not that much different in the DIY sector these days. So, you know, do your homework or have risk. That's what I tell people who want to do it themselves.
And the tax pros are going to know all the ins and outs that we don't know, right? And
well, not just the tax law changes, but here's the thing. You may see tax law changes in media because they're high on news, but tax life changes are more common, and they don't get quite the same high level of advertisement. So getting married and having a child, maybe, but starting a crypto investment, doing side hustle activities full or part-time, taking care of your dependent parents maybe now, higher education in your household, and the list goes on and on. Those are harder to get actually right and get all your money than just answering the questions on your DIY software. So get some help.
Yeah, okay, what happens if taxpayers miss the deadline? Another common situation.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen, because you can file an extension, which we talked about, but if you just ignore the deadline, you're going to do it this summer for whatever your reason, you run the risk of the failure to file penalty, upwards of 25%. If you owe, failure to pay penalty, 25%, and then an underpayment penalty, then interest on top of that, and then you have to pay someone to clean it all up. So sometimes the penalties and interest and fees can be larger than the tax if you'd have done it right on the front end. So don't ignore the deadline. Do something. I recommend you file an extension. If you don't actually file the tax return, then you at least take the failure to file penalty out of play.
No kidding. Let's not do the penalties, please, right? Scams, a lot of people, myself included, are worried about scams because they've gotten so good. Yeah. What's your advice on that, and what should we be aware of?
Tax refunds total about $300 billion with a B a year. About 100 million people get refunds, and that attracts a certain bad element. So I'll simply say, if you see something or you hear something or somebody tells you something and it sounds too good to be true, like we guarantee you a refund, or I don't need to sign your tax return. And worst of all, if you get a text or an email or a phone call saying, hey, we've just about ready to verify your information, all that's fake. And another good reason, a pro, whether they use you use them for your taxes or you do it yourself, they'll be glad to step on that fakeness. So have a tax pro in your contact list before you respond to any phone call, email, text, or tweet that says they need to have more of your information. It's probably fake.
It's probably fake. All right, Mark, thank you so much. Great info. Good to see you.
For more information, visit jacksonhewitt.com/office locator or call the number you see on the screen, 1-800-234-1040.